Hello there, this is my tutorial of how to fit a backlight to a Game Boy Pocket. This is trickier than the DMG, but I'm going to show you how anyway. Now I've got two here, simply because it is quite easy to mess one of these up, and even though I've done quite a few of them, I still occasionally do. So even if I do make a mistake and mess it up, I want to show you where I go wrong. And I'll have a second one here. So just to show you, this is what one looks like before it's backlit. So that's that anyway. Now there is a few. You should have already watched my DMG tutorial. There's a few extra things here that I'm going to use. So just before we start. What I've got here, I've got my old credit card, which is expired now, so you can't use it. And what I've done is taken a piece of kitchen roll and sellotaped it to the leading edge. And the idea behind this is as you'll see later on, this is going to be really handy. I've got a cotton bud, or as Americans call it, a Q-tip. I'm also going to be changing the LED colour on this one, so I've got an LED, I've got the backlight kit, and the only other thing that I have, which I didn't have the other day, was some insulating tape. You can use whatever colour you like, but I just happen to have black, so I'm going to use black, and that's it. Right, so first things first, I'm going to try and do it on the silver one. So I'm going to take the batteries out, which I've just put in, and then remove the 6 tri-wing screws. So that's my tri-wing. So there's 2 at the bottom here. And then there's, well, you can see the other 4. Pretty obvious. There we go. Now this is much quicker to do, to disassemble than a DMG. The DMG's, it's got 6 in the back, and then it has 10 in the centre. Well, this only has 3, which is really good. They're much easier. There's one here, one here, one here, and one here. So I'm going to take these 3 off. There's a little bit more preparation though that needs doing on the Game Boy Pocket, and as I said during the DMG tutorial, it's a bit more fiddly to do one of these, and I think it's considerably more difficult. So anyway, you'll see. Power switch, I'm just going to put that off the camera for the time being, and I'm going to undo this little ribbon at the top. So I'm just going to pull this with my fingers and prise it away, just like that, and now this should lift out. There we go. So yet again with the DMG, and what I did with the DMG, I got my little cloth and spat on it a little bit and just give it a wash, so it's clean as much of the grubbiness as you can out of it, and just put this somewhere else. Now, as I say, I'm going to swap this LED for this one. I'll do that after I've done the screen though, just in case. So I'm taking these 3 out. I'm putting them off the camera as well, and the 3 buttons, I'm going to need them again. Well, I'm going to need them all. So right now, this can be quite a delicate job as well. So we're going to take the screen out of the frame. So I'm going to get my little flathead screwdriver, very similar to what we did before, but I'm going to use much less pressure with this than the DMG. It doesn't need anywhere near as much pressure to do. So you'll just hear it click, and same as the DMG, there's a adhesive border running around the edge, and because it's a thinner border, there's nowhere near as much pressure needed to pull it off. So actually this one's came off of the screen. It doesn't happen very often, so I'm going to get rid of that. And I'm not actually going to do, you know, this screen is not actually going to go in this Game Boy, so I'm not going to reassemble this. In fact, I might do, just to show you what it looks like. But normally what I would do is, I mean, this screen's not in very good condition. I mean, it's okay, but it's not in that good condition, so I would replace this. Easiest way to do that is to soak the whole thing in water. Leave it for hot water, not scalding, but as hot as you can bear for your hands. Dip it in there, and all of the adhesive around the edge, after about 5 minutes, heat up, and you can just gently push one corner away, and it'll ease out. Anyway, right, so that's that. So now we've got the screen here. Now this is the bit that's, well, this is the hardest bit. This is probably the only reason why people are watching. So I'm going to take these little orange little squares off. Sometimes they come off really easy. You can take them off with a knife. Actually, I've left my knife over there, so I'm going to go and get that. But I mean, as long as they don't get in the way, you just remove as much of it as you can. In fact, I'm going to take that off my cloth, otherwise it'll dirty it. Put it over there. Remove that. Let's be a sec. Let me get my knife. Right. Now you'll also see there's a piece of sellotape holding this ribbon cable on. So I'm just going to prise this up a little bit, and once the sellotape starts giving way, and just remove this sellotape. There we go. I'll put that with that orange stuff. So now we've got this. We're going to do the same as what we did with the DMG. Hang on. Let's give this a clean. There we go. So I'm just going to insert. I'm just going to try and get this in between the film and the glass, and just make a crease in it again. Now that we've done this, actually, there's one piece of. Hang on, I'm going to pause this because I'm going to be a few minutes. One thing I forgot to mention is you'll be needing some sellotape as well. Now this isn't necessarily, this isn't necessarily uber important, but I do find if you use it, you'll get the chances of you making a huge error and breaking the Game Boy is reduced. So I tend to use it. So what you just get a strip about the length of this ribbon cable here. So what happens is people that break these, and as I say, I've broken an awful lot of them. What happens is when you're pulling this away like so, when you get to down here and here, you've either got two options. You can either fold it back this way, fold the film this way, in which case it forces this ribbon cable away, or you can fold this one in over, which forces this ribbon cable away. Now they're both really delicate, but I always find I break this one more than I do this one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give this a little bit of reinforcement just by putting a bit of sellotape on it. And I know you're probably going to laugh, but it really does make a difference. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to sellotape just below the glass. So where the glass is, I'm just going to put the sellotape on just before there. Stick it down and then fold it over. Now you can take this off when you're done, but I tend to just leave it on. It doesn't do any harm. So, and get another piece, same length. Doesn't have to be identical, but similar length. Right, and then the exact opposite, so just underneath the glass at the bottom, and fold it around the back. As I say, don't get me wrong, it's still not foolproof. You still can't go, hell for leather with it, but it should give you that little bit of extra support. So if you do slip a little bit, it gives you more more, you know, it gives you a little bit more leeway. So now that we've done that, we're just going to prise this away, like we did in the DMG, just nice and easy, as much as you can without any of the ribbon cable, forcing any of the ribbon cable. Now, as I say, you get to this point where you've pushed most of it away, and you've got two options. You can either peel this corner away and fold it back that way, or you can undo this corner and peel it that way, like that. Okay, so and either way works. I think if you're left-handed, you probably find it easier one way. If you're right-handed, you probably find it easier the other way. I've done it half. I don't know which way is better. Which way should I give it? Should I try? I'm going to try this way. So I'm just going to pull this back, making sure to put as little pressure and try not to let go at this at any point. It is tricky to do this, especially when you're on the camera. Right, so I suppose the beautiful thing is, if I do mess this up, I can always delete the file and start again. Anyway, so you see there's a little bit of pressure on there. You want to try and avoid that as much as possible. So we just want to get that corner away. Tell you what, I'm actually going to start at the other end, fold that back down like that, and try this way now. I wouldn't normally do that. Sometimes you feel a little bit ham-fisted when you do it, so as long as you're not putting too much pressure on it, you can't really fall off. And now that that's gone, and fold that under there, and then that should, if we're lucky, come away without putting too much pressure on it. There we go. So as I say, you've got two options. You can take the sellotape off if you like, but I tend to leave it on because it doesn't do any harm. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to trim it. Just going to trim the nasty bits off, the bits that don't look too nice, and put them on the orange stuff over there. Oh, make sure you don't cut the ribbon cable here, because otherwise, yeah, you've ruined your screen. Right. Now I happen to have a bottle of isopropyl alcohol here, which is fantastic for getting adhesive off. If you're going to do a few, you can get a bottle of this in Boots. I looked in Boots for months and months and months. I didn't know where to look, so and I could never find any. If you do want to find any, if you do want to find some, you have to look. You have to look where the first aid stuff is, because this is used to disinfect cuts. So all I'm going to do is the leading edge of my credit card, I've just put some isopropyl alcohol on there with a Q-tip. You can just use this if you don't want to bother with this. But yet again, because I do them all the time, sometimes, you know, I just want to, you know, I just want to make it as easy as possible. You know, I don't want to break the screen. So using this will mean that there's much less stuff in contact. Sorry, it relieves the pressure on here because it's thinner. And you can push it right under, get rid of all the goo and the gunk. And yet again, I must stress, same as the DMG, you know, this is the most important part, preparation. So that's that. So that's that done. Now ideally, I would have a second one of these, which I will have when my new credit card runs out. Maybe the credit card. I'll make a second one. I'll have one for isopropyl alcohol and one just with some, well, nothing on it. So yet again, where you put the knife in, it makes has a little bit of adhesive there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to test this, just to make sure that, because as I say, I don't know, I might have broken this. You know, there's every possibility. So this is a bit easier to sort of test than the other one. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to plonk. I'm going to put the ribbon cable in, just like that. I'm going to tighten that up, and then I'm going to that way plunk that on there. So now I'll put my batteries in, and fingers crossed when I turn this on, yeah, I know you probably can't see, but very, very faintly there is there's the screen anyway. I know you probably can't see on the camera, but there is anyway. And the idea is you're just seeing if there's any dead pixel lines in the middle. So, which I don't think there is on here. It certainly doesn't look like it. It looks like I've done a proper job. So anyway, so that's that anyway. We don't really know until we got the panel in. So there we go. And if I do break it, as I say, I'll show you how to fix it. On the other hand, when I do break one next time, I'll record it. I probably won't record me breaking it, but I'll certainly record me fixing it. I'll put that up as well, because it's quite common, and I'm sure it'll happen to me. Right. Anyway, so you get your backlight out. So you get your two cables and your bits and bobs last time. Now before we do anything, this is another thing that happens all the time. See these points here. Well, when this sits down on here, they press against these points, and essentially it can make the panel duller. And yet again, there's a lot of people that get it and they install it into the Game Boy, and because it gets dull, they think it's broken, and it's not. All it is these are bare. So that's what this is for. So I'm just going to take a little. I'm just going to cut a little bit of insulating tape off. I mean, you can use the normal sellotape, but just because I've got it and it's the proper thing, I'm going to use this. So anyway, so let's have a look, just to cover them all. So I'll just cut that off. There we go. Stick that on there. There we go. Right. Now, same as the DMG. So this time it's a bit different, because what's going to happen is the ground. So the black cable is going to go to this point here, and the red one is going to go all the way across and go here. So you just put it about where it's going to go, and then just trim it. You know, it doesn't have to be perfect. If anything, leave yourself a little bit more leeway than what you need. I'm certainly going to do that. So even though it's going to there, bearing in mind there might be a bend in the wire, I'm going to take it to about there. You don't want too much cable left over, but you know, a little bit too much is better than a little bit not enough. So yet again, I'm just going to strip the shielding off. There we go, and give it a twirl. Open me vat of solder, and the black one, as I say, is going to go to this point just here. So this, you know, you can get away with it being really short. So what I'm going to do is actually going to bend it back on itself. I mean, you can run it that way, but I tend to bend it back on itself. So I'm just going to cut it about that long. So that'll do. Yet again, it's better to have slightly too much, than slightly too little. So I'm going to pop that there. I could have just used the other bit of red actually, save myself a bit of wire, but never mind, just for the sake of being right, I'll do this. So yet again, just strip the two ends of shielding off, give them a twirl. Get your soldering iron. It's still dirty, so I'll from the other night when I was on the DMG one. So let's give that a clean. Just put some solder on there, just pre-tin it. Now what I'm going to do is, yet again, same as before, I'll just slip that down there, right. So I'm just going to dunk this in my solder, just so the metal's covered, and just, it's not very good. Yeah, that's better. And then do the same again on this one. There we go. So that's prepared. Same on here. And that end. There we go. So there's a wire's done. I'm going to do this the same as what I did before. So I'm just going to pop the solder on. Hang on. Nice clean solder iron. I think that's why it didn't work so clever on the plenty of solder. And then that's not working. That'll do. There's the smell of that that insulating tape. I should have put that on afterwards. So tip, if you're watching this and you haven't put it on already, or if you're not too lazy, take it off. I'm very lazy, so put it on afterwards. Anyway, right, so now there's two big globs on there, so that should do. Just going to dip the tip of my soldering iron in my flux. That should make it run better, and then we get nice shiny glob of solder rather than the dull stuff which we don't like. There we go. Although the solder keeps running away, I'm just going to put a little bit more on because I want two nice even. There's an awful lot on there. I'll get rid of a bit. There we go. Right, there we are. Right, same again. So get our wires. Now yet again, because it's new solder, I don't really have to. This time, what we're going to do is we're going to have it come across. Now the important thing is don't let the red touch the negative. So we're just going to have it closer to the top of the terminal, or the contact point, and then we're just going to solder that on until that is there, like so. There we go. And then the black one, actually now you got, as I say, you can run it that way, the opposite way if you want. I'm actually going to run it the same way and fold it back underneath. So, but you can do either. There we go. So that's that. Fold that underneath. Anyway, back to the screen. We'll leave that till later. So, so we've got this LED panel now, and we'll just remove the film, and then all we're going to do is just making sure there's no dust on it. Place this in here, threading the red wire through, and that's it done. Have a quick look, see if there's any dust. I mean, there is a bit in there, so I'm going to use my now all the isopropyl alcohol, yeah, should have disappeared because it evaporates. So you have to put your top back on. Anyway, so I'm just going to use my little credit card. This is where it comes in really handy. Just going to get rid of that dirt, and then that's it. yet again, now we don't really have the luxury of testing this as easy as what we did in the DMG, but I'm still going to do it anyway because I don't like it to be right. I don't like it to be a bad job. So I'm going to, yet again, I'm just going to dunk the ends in flux again. There's not an awful lot of solder there, so I'm going to pop a little bit on the what's labelled VDD, a little bit of flux. That should make it. There we go. There's quite a bit on ground, so be okay with that. Right, and then I'm just going to solder the red to this big point here, this VDD, and that's that done. And then the ground, I'm going to solder, oh hang on, forget about that. I need to put a bit of tape on here. You can use insulating tape if you like. Anyway. And then we're just going to pop that in there, like that. There we go. So you've seen it now that the screen's on. You'll see that because we've put the insulation tape on the back, when they tap, it won't make much difference. So now that all this is together, I'm going to plug this into. I'm going to put the ribbon cable back in, attach that back up, and I'm going to find my Game Boy back, which I've put over here. Put that in there. Put my batteries back in and turn it on. We've got a nice blue screen and a working speaker. So now I'm going to inspect this. Sorry, I'll give it a wipe first with my cloth to make sure there's no dust in there. So yet again, once you put the more you do to this, the harder it becomes. So there is a little bit at the bottom there. So yeah, I can get my credit card. You know that when you get the if you look at the thickness between the two, I mean that's like 4 times thicker, so you're having to move the ribbon cable 4 times the distance away from where it wants to be in order to clean it. So this way you don't have to do that. Anyway, enough boring, but that's quite boring. So right, so same as before. Now what I'm going to do here, I'm going to cut all of the little stalk off. You don't really need it in the Game Boy Pocket, and it puts more pressure on this ribbon cable at the bottom. So I'm cutting it off completely. It's not how it was meant to be designed, but as I say, I do it anyway because I find it easier. And yet again, the bend, the bend in the film, always put towards the LED panel, not the LCD, not the glass, the LED. So anyway, so you've got your so yet again there's 2 pieces of film on here. You've got one that's easier to take off than I'd advise you always take that off second, and don't touch either side with your fingers. I didn't say that in the DMG thing, but don't. Or just touch the edges. Now where the little sticky out bit was, if you want normal in polarization, you're actually going to point this the other way to what you would in the DMG. So on this one, I'll just turn the contrast wheel up. There we go. So on this one, it's the opposite. So that's at the bottom. And then just for the sake of showing you, just in case you haven't seen the DMG tutorial already, because it's very long. This one's probably going to be just as long, but we just rotate that 90 degrees if we want inverted polarization, and bada boom, bada bing, we get it. There we go. And that's it. Now, as I say, I'm going to have this normal, so that's that done. And that's the I'll tell you what, I will put it back together just for the sake of completionness, and so you know what, if you want to do it, you can. So I'm going to give it a quick wipe with this, just to get rid of some of the stuff that is on there. And the only thing that you have to do really at this point, before you put the well, you have to take the batteries out, obviously take the front PCB off, but you don't have to disconnect it if you don't want to. Well, you really don't have to. So I'm just going to take the batteries out, prise this away from the case like that. Now yet again, just because I'm just going to give this another wipe, because I'm talking, I get the feeling some fluid's going to go on it. There we go. And now I'm going to pop this in here, nice and easy. Now what you want is, you want everything in there. So in the frame. So where the frame is, you want the polarization film, you want the LED panel and the LCD in there. You might have to give it a little bit of a wiggle about. I think it's only the speaker that's stopping it from going in for me. Hang on. I'll just get the speaker in the right place. There we go, and that's it. That's it done. So all I'm going to do is three screws. Don't put them in the golden ones. That's where the don't put them. Just put them where the green rings are. So one there, and one on either side. Now again, when I boot this up, this won't have a battery LED in it, because I broke it. So I think I'm going to delete that from the video. But anyway, I am going to fit another one to it before I'm finished. Anyway, so that's that. Now I'm going to plonk the back on. Now yet again, if you just want to test this just before you put the screws in, you can, but I'm fairly confident this is okay, so I'm not going to bother. So I'm going to put the tri-wings in. You don't have to do them in a particular order. I tend to try and disperse the pressure, so all the pressure doesn't go on one point. So I try to put them, well, as opposite as I can, if you like. Put these in. Do have a battery cover here, but I'm taking it apart anyway. So, I forgot to put my switch in. Oh well, never mind. I'm just going to use this. Obviously, you would put it back. You would put the switch back in, and you would have a power LED there, and of course your buttons, which I forgot to put in. Never mind. You get the idea. Obviously, I can't play this, but yeah, I mean, you know, it doesn't take a genius to realise that you need to put your buttons back in for it to be complete, and that's it. It's fitted. So I will take a pic. I will add a little thing on the end of the video when this is finished, so you know what it looks like. I'm going to take it apart, put the LED in, put some things in. But yeah, that's essentially it. It's not as hard as people make out. Well, I'll make out, but it can be tricky. And if you do break it, don't be you know, if you do break your first one, don't be by having vertical pixels, don't be too disheartened, because almost everyone's done it. The idea behind this video is to prevent you from doing it, because ideally I would like you to be able to mod your Game Boy without ever breaking any, because, well, I know there's millions of them, but you know, one less Game Boy in the world is a bad thing. So yeah, so that's the whole point of me doing this, because I don't want you to break any. Anyway, right, well, thank you very, very much for watching, and I wish you the best of luck, and I hope you enjoy your modded Game Boy. Alright, thank you, bye.